The town of Plainville. Established in 1721 at the geographical center of Connecticut.
Good evening, everybody. Welcome to our regular meeting of the Plainville Town Council. Today is September 12th, 2022, 7 p.m. We'll begin with the Pledge of Allegiance. I'll ask Councilman Catanzaro to lead us in that.
I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Okay, thank you. We do not have any presentations this evening, but we do have two items for a public hearing, and I will ask the town clerk to please read the notice of the public hearing. Thank you.
Notice is hereby given that the Plainville Town Council will hold public hearings at 7 p.m. on Monday, September 12th, 2022, in the council chambers of the Municipal Center, 1 Central Square in Plainville, to hear public comments regarding 1. Use of coronavirus state and local fiscal recovery funds associated with the American Rescue Plan Act for Robertson Airport improvements in the amount of $250,000. 2. Proposed amendments to Ordinance Chapter 318, Article 2, Outdoor Dining. Copies of the proposed amendments are available for public inspection in the office of the town clerk, dated at Plainville, Connecticut, this 8th day of September 2022.
Thank you very much. Okay, before we take the public comment, I would ask the town manager to give just a brief description of each one of those items before I open it up to the public.
Sure.
Thank you.
Item 1 is the use of coronavirus state and local fund fiscal recovery funds for the Robertson Airport improvements. As you know, there have been significant improvements and they're ongoing there in that project scope, and this will be an infusion to that fund to help with their fund balance and future projects going forward. Better use of these funds as ARPA funds than trying to fund it through the general fund. For fund balance, if you will. So I think it is appropriate use of funds at this time, and certainly support that as a very important piece of our community in terms of asset, if you will. And I think that's important to keep the viability there going forward. So that, and the second item is the proposed amendments to the ordinance of Chapter 318, Article 2, Outdoor Dining. In essence, the state has come through with Special Act 21-3, Section 182, which effectively dictates how outdoor dining will be regulated in all Connecticut municipalities, notwithstanding any provision of the General Statute-specific act, municipal charter, or ordinance, as in our case. The Zoning Commission of each municipality shall allow any license or permittee of a food establishment operating in such municipality to engage in outdoor food and beverage service as accessory use of such food established permitted use. So it becomes a right of use, and so it will be incorporated into the planning and zoning regulations as a right of use. And that's it in a nutshell, basically.
Okay.
So it's basically a repeal of the ordinance to put it under the P&Z regulations.
Great. Thank you for that.
You're welcome.
Okay, having heard the explanations, I'll open up the public hearing. I'll ask for those who wish to speak to the first item, and then we'll go into item number 2. So does anybody wish to speak to the public hearing, item number 1, use of the coronavirus state and local funds? Does anybody wish to speak to that one? Anybody wish to speak? Hearing none, I will close that portion of the public hearing. Item number 2, regarding the amendment to the ordinance Chapter 318, Article 2, Outdoor Dining. Does anybody wish to speak to that item? Anybody else? No? Last chance? Okay, thanks. I'll close both of those. Thank you very much for your explanation for both of them. Moving on to item number 3, minutes of the previous meeting. May I have a motion to approve, please?
Madam Chair,
Go right ahead.
motion to approve August 15th, 2022 special and regular meeting.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Are there any additions or corrections to those minutes? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Item number 4, announcements and reports. Does anybody have any announcements or reports? Nothing, Rosemary?
Nothing.
Not time yet, huh?
Yeah, next meeting, I promise. Okay.
Well, I'll just give you a quick note regarding our Senior Citizens Center, and this may end up in your report, but if so, just I'll preempt you, if that's all right, with just one item. The Senior Center is going to be sponsoring a Grandparents Raising Grandchildren program on September the 20th from 9 a.m. to 1 p.m. The Plainville Senior Center has been selected by the state of Connecticut to host these particular programs for a number of years. So the invitation goes out to the region and across the state. If anybody is interested in attending their program, this is, of course, there's no charge to it. But if you are interested, please contact the Senior Center. There's a great need for support for grandparents across the country, specifically in Connecticut. This group will bring professionals that can talk about resources such as the Husky program, which is a medical coverage program for children and families. They also talk about issues such as drug addiction and other programs, perhaps where parents are incarcerated, where the parents cannot care for the children, and the grandparents often fill that gap. So there's a need to help some of these folks out, and there are programs that can be very very important for the success of the grandparents, helping the children thrive. So that is going to be, again, Tuesday, September the 20th from 9 a.m. to 1 p.m. at our Plainville Senior Center. And you are encouraged to call and register if you're going to attend, just so they can be prepared. And that is it for my report. There are no other reports tonight. We'll move along, and I skipped the appointments and resignations, so let's go back to that. And we do have some appointments to make. So item number 1.
Madam Chair,
Go ahead.
motion to appoint the town manager as an alternate member of the Capital Region Council of Governments.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Are there any comments? All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you. Item number 2.
Madam Chair,
Yep.
motion to appoint Stephen Sehow as fire inspector.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Any discussion on the motion? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes. Do we have any other appointments or reappointments to boards and commissions tonight that are not listed?
Madam Chair,
Go ahead.
motion to accept with regret the resignation of probationary firefighter Eric Petrowski from the Plainville Fire Department.
Second.
Okay, I have a motion and a second. Any discussion on that? All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you. Board of Education is next meeting. We already did the report, so how did I get that far out of order? That's beyond me. I'm looking at my notes instead of following the agenda, but we'll carry on. Report of the town attorney. Good. No report from you? Thank you. Okay, thanks for being here. All right. Now, report of the town manager. You are next.
Yes, thank you. First item is discussion on Pality, that we've done a workshop and had some discussion, presentation on that as well. It's the financial analytics company that will go through all of our finances, and they are Connecticut-based, dedicated to simplifying state and local finance. And they give us the towns the tools to bring transparency to public finance. As Pality explained in their presentation on August 25th, they picked 5 peer towns in Connecticut, but this council will have the ability to pick 5 that they believe is best for comparisons. And there are 5 major components of the dashboard, contract negotiation, budget forecasting, pension and OPEB, economic development, and bond financing. They also have the ability to look at salaries, benefits, pensions, and part of HR recruitment and retention, as well as crime stats and educational statistics. CCM is picking up 20% of the cost for municipalities, which lowers the annual cost from $49.50 to $39.60, and they're seeking a 2-year contract agreement from each town, and there's an item under new business for the town council to approve the agreement tonight. And I just want to add a note that was in revised notes that I have, that the attorney, Jonathan, has had a chance to review the document. There are no concerns, but he did, however, point out and highlight a few areas such as, again, as I mentioned, picking the 5 towns, but also the review of the town amenities as outlined in Exhibit C, and that's a great point to make sure that we're, comparing apples to apples. We don't have necessarily the same amenities that other communities have. So I think it's important when we go through that list as well. Item number 2 is the Farmington Canal Heritage Trail update. The state DOT has postponed the public informational meeting of Phase 2 for the trail project for Thursday, the 22nd, due to administrative delays. But work is continuing on the project, and looking ahead to the spring of 2023 to reschedule that meeting. On August 25th, the DOT had a surveying crew working near Whiting Street, and the crew is working on the trail project related to gathering data on the alignment for Phase 3. And finally, the town was notified by the CROG about the fiscal year 22 Rebuilding America Infrastructure with Sustainability and Equity grant, the RAISE grant, and the amount of $16,366,554. And this grant will be used for the design and construction of 2 trails in the municipalities of Plainville and New Britain. And the first trail will fill the last major gap in the Farmington Canal Heritage Trail, and the second will connect the trail with Connecticut Fast Track in New Britain. Phase 1 of the trail from Norton Park to the Town Line Road is scheduled to begin construction in the fall of 2023. Phase 2 from Northwest Drive to Route 72 is expected to begin construction in the fall of 2024. And the design of Phase 3 through the center of Plainville is the last piece not yet started, and that's going to be obviously the most complex piece to design. But we will keep them on task and make sure that we get through all of those. Item 3, and forgive me, should I be pausing for questions, or do we just want to take, if there are any other questions, and just let me read through these items?
Yep.
Okay.
We'll hold them till the end.
Hold them to the end. Okay.
Thank you.
Yep. Next is item 3, fire marshal vehicle. The CIP listed a replacement vehicle for the fire marshal, and going through Gingras Ford off the state bid process, bid 2023-05. The town was able to get a 2022 Ford F-150, which is available and ready for delivery with a quote of $40,239.70. I think the specs are good for this vehicle and adequate for the job that the fire marshal will need to perform. It comes with a fiberglass cab, but that's there's a lead time on that, so there's going to be about 10 to 12 weeks lag before we have that, and that item is also under new business for the council to approve the purchase of the vehicle for the amount of $40,239.70. Item 4 is ARPA fund recommendations. Item A, the high school boiler project. The high school boiler project was prepared in July 2022 and was advertised as a design build project with a budget of $600,000. Even though this was issued as a bid, is likely it should have been, in my opinion, an RFP for proposals, as it was sent out as a design bid proposal. And unlike bids where there is typically a unit price and a selection based on the lowest bid, a design build takes some analysis to compare each of the proposals. So I have the following summary for those proposals, of which 4 companies responded. Savmore, I think is how you pronounce it, had a bid of $519,000, but this proposal calls for 2 Lochinvar boilers and 1 heater. The total BTUs will equal 6 million. But during the peak heating season of January, February, the buildings require 9 million BTUs. So the system doesn't quite meet the peak demand. If one boiler fails, I think you're going to be taxed to try and get something and replace and to meet those demands. And there's only 1 heater based in this bid and doesn't provide redundancy, which all of the other schools have. ProMech is ProMechanical, I believe, was the next, $585,000. And this proposal's optional bid had 3 Patterson-Kelly boilers, not Lochinvar. All the others bid Lochinvar as their choice for boiler. The Patterson-Kelly boilers reached the 9 million BTUs needed for the peak season. However, this proposal called for only 1 water heater. And that, again, just won't be sufficient to have redundancy built in for the school, especially given the fact that it is also going to serve as a regional shelter during storms. McKinney was a bid of $698,000. This proposal calls for 3 million BTU units, Lochinvar boilers, that delivers the needed 9 million BTUs. And they also propose 2 water heaters, which will provide the redundancy. West State was the 4th and final at $984,000. While this proposal provided 6 units, boilers, they were 1 million BTUs each. And they had a bit of overkill on the water heaters at 5 water heaters. I'm not exactly sure why. But the 6 million BTUs does not reach the max needed for the peak season as well. The recommendation from the school administrators is to go with McKinney, and I concur with that decision based on the, meeting the peak demand load and having redundancy with the 3 boiler system and the 2 water heaters. Additionally, McKinney is familiar with the school and has proven to be a good service provider, and they have a positive track record with the schools. And I'm not sure how to value that, but I think there is value in a relationship and service with respect to boilers and systems of that magnitude. And so while it's over budget, I think the town anticipates saving with the window replacements and at the firehouse and the Teflon chillers project, so we'll close the gap, but still being about 17,000 short, and we'll be able to handle that through other ARPA funds recommendations. The second was B, the firehouse window replacement, which was just mentioned. The recommendation from the ARPA Planning Committee called for an allocation of $130,000 for the window replacements at the firehouse. In the interest of time, the town sought out 3 quotes from local commercial vendors for window replacements, and Plymouth Gas and Mirror came in at $77,235, the window shop at $84,500, and Kingsington Glass and Framing at $91,330. And I think it's important I think it's important to have these quotes in the interest of time to get through it, so that we can try and get the job done before the winter is upon us, and we have to go through another heating season there. And the recommendation to award to Window Shop is they are the most complete bid for the required work and are proposing to replicate the existing exterior appearance. And while Plymouth Glass had proposed an in-glass white grid, it didn't look like the same existing windows. So we're, again, from conversations with the fire chief and with Robert as well, we want to try and match and get what's there. So that's the rationale behind that. Window Shop is $1,265 higher, But given the quality of their work on past town projects and their commitment to job performance and satisfaction, that I think it's worth the extra cost to go with the local bidder and somebody who has experience in working with the town. So that's my recommendation on the firehouse window replacement, and that's something we will see later on as we move that with the others to the public hearing for the October 3rd meeting. So the third and final was the sidewalk repair and replacement. A partial approval of $410,000 was made on March 21st, 2022, and the recommendation is to raise the approval level to $600,000. And there's an item under new business for that, as I mentioned, to package all three of those items to send out to a public hearing for October 3rd. Item 5 is the White Oak redevelopment project update. Earlier this month, the State Department of Economic Community Development finalized the financial assistance proposal, the FAP, for the former White Oak remediation and redevelopment project. And the FAP will provide a state grant of $1,170,000 for the remediation, abatement, and partial demolition of the former White Oak Corporation Office Center at 1 and 63 West Main Street. And there's an item under new business for the town council to approve the resolution tonight for financial assistance. The proposal is for a mixed-use development consisting of approximately 13,500 square feet of medical offices, approximately 16,800 square feet of industrial condos, and approximately 11,000 square feet of retail space, approximately 175 multifamily housing units, and approximately 30,000 square feet of mixed-use building with 423 parking spaces and approximately 7 acres of green space on a 15-acre parcel. The property has been vacant since 2003. The next step for the town is to apply and be accepted into the Abandoned Brownfield Cleanup Program, the ABC program. This program offers municipalities and developers who are not responsible for contamination to be afforded liability relief from responsibility to investigate and remediate off-site contamination, provided that the project meets certain economic development thresholds and remediation is completed under the formal DEEP program. Currently, Tig & Bond, the town's consultants for the remediation oversight, preparing an application for the ABC program. And once accepted into the program, the town will take title to the property. Manafort Newport is expected to finish cleaning out the debris within the White Oak building by next week. And the town council took action to ratify the town manager's execution of the land disposition and development agreement at the last meeting. So that project is moving along, and obviously there are a lot of moving parts with that, but I think the team is doing a great job in terms of shepherding that through with our consultant, Tig & Bond, and we'll continue to make progress on that. Item 6 is the Shuttle Meadow Pump Station project update. And if you recall, back in April of 2022, Tig & Bond submitted their pump station evaluation and conceptual design, which was followed by a work session to review the scope of the project. The Shuttle Meadow wastewater pump station is located at 66 Shuttle Meadow Road and serves the southern section of town, mostly 200 residential homes. It was last upgraded in 2000 and consists of a below-ground cylindrical steel structure containing 2 pumps, each having a nameplate capacity of 1,230 gallons per minute. GPM, that's correct, Joe? Gallons per minute? Thank you. The pump chamber is accessible through a steel access tube. An 8-foot diameter concrete structure serves as a wet well for the pumps. The station also includes a 60 kilowatt natural gas fired generator and a grinder, which is installed in the wet well. The final agreement for design work at the Shuttle Meadow station appears as an item under new business for the town council to approve tonight. And as you will see, the agreement amends the agreement by and between Tig & Bond and the town of Plainville dated November 9th, 2021, resulting from the selection of the engineering services from RFP 2022-09, entitled The Shuttle Metal Pump Station Evaluation and Conceptual Design. And the total for the design work not to exceed the amount of $223,250. And that is maybe where I can pause before the next item on the dashboard. And
Okay.
there any-
Does anybody have any questions for the town manager's report so far? So just for clarity, the $223,000 for the pump station, we have that in the water pollution control plant
fun. Yeah.
fund, correct?
Yes.
Okay. Just so, in case anybody's wondering where the dollars come from, it comes from that source. Okay, great. All right, any other questions so far? Nope, okay. All right, moving on
Moving on
to the dashboard.
yes, item 7, the financial dashboard report. And this is new for me, but I want to thank Robert and Rob Huden for sitting down and walking me through this, which I think is pretty interesting and I think valuable tool for the council, for the community as well, in terms of, the report on sort of a snapshot in giving you a sort of a look at where we are and trending. So the first, and I love the way it's laid out in terms of giving you sort of the drill down effect into different funds, but essentially starting out right at the top, the town budget and where you are through August 31st of this year. And again, this is, second month in from a fiscal year, but looking at that we've spent 25.36%, and the 2-year average is 26.37, and obviously the note there also includes the appropriation in terms of the additional appropriation for the self-insured health fund that will finalize that. That'll be the final payment, and we'll take care of that, so that's incorporated. You further break that down into two pieces of the general, the town government budget into the town budget into the general government budget and the Board of Ed. The general government side is, as of 8/31, $8,350,491, representing a percentage spent of 33.67. The 2-year average is 34.29%. So again, nothing out of the ordinary, running a little bit, slightly lower, and always a good sign. Same on the Board of Ed side with percentage spent of 20.37%, 2-year average at 21.66. So again, running under, which is good trend, good thing to take a look at. The yellow boxes on the left, police overtime, 63,693. The 2-year average is 98.9. So the percentage spent is 11.58%. Apparently, just clearly running a lot lower than it was in terms of running a lot lower than the average, the 2-year average. So another indicator that we're trending lower, which is good. Roadways overtime, the same. Again, same trend, 4,124 spent, 2-year average is 12,815, so percentage spent represents 5.36%, and the trend again running lower. Building and grounds, same trend, percentage spent 25.15%, and through August 31st, 6,444 versus the 2-year average of 7,766. So again, all three of those, and nothing obviously to report on the roadways snow overtime or the building and grounds snow overtime. Just obviously too early. It's not the season, so that's why those are blank. But you see in the police, roadways, and building and grounds overtime that trend is a good trend. On the right side, you have your hauler tonnage on municipal solid waste, tip fee, and budgeted numbers there. Again, looking good for us. If you just look through 8/31, we've had 5306. The 2-year average is 1,077 and 17 cents. So we're again running under there. And the recycling in the green, budgeted for a $45 tip fee, and tonnage for a budget of 67,500. And again, so far through August, $111.16 versus a 2-year average of 124.63. So again, the running lower, and though we budgeted a $45 tip fee, the current tip fee is $36.12. So again, those numbers are trending well. We'll continue to monitor those numbers, and obviously always taking a look at both municipal solid waste tipping fees and recycling tipping fees, all important. But that's it on the front page. Any questions on the first page?
Any questions? Okay.
Great. Revenues for, again, through August 31st, looking good. Through August 31st, 29,019,516. So we received 44.18%, and the 2-year average is 44.69. So it's running just a hair under, but I would say, relatively on track. So there's nothing there that worries me in terms of the revenue side and projections. And then if you look at the other side, the current taxes and what's coming in, 50%, 57%, 0.59, and the 2-year average 57.01. So again, I think that's right in line with what it's supposed to be. So nothing jumps out there. The unassigned fund balance, the June 30th, 22 unaudited number was $12,152,385. That represents 19.15%. The fiscal 23 use of fund balance budgeted was $1,424,500 for tax relief. And the CIP contribution was $555,000, and of course the one-time health insurance use $425. And just a note there in parentheses that the debt management fund will reimburse the general fund at the end of the year on that, so that'll be coming back there. But you see the number for the estimated unassigned balance of $9,747,885, representing 14.84%, but when you factor in that 425 coming back in, that'll push it back up to 10,172,885 for roughly 15.48%.
Okay.
Again, so questions there on?
Everybody good with the revenues? Okay.
Okay. Special funds. Recreation fund. The recreation fund is running higher, and obviously I think that is due to the fact that things are coming back to normal, coming off of a COVID environment and coming out of COVID environment as well. Programs are ramping up, so that's why you see a percentage spend of 40.8% versus a 2-year average of 24.79, and I don't think there's anything else to really to attribute that to other than COVID and people coming back. And so this would be, and I think, and I'm sorry, I should have gone back just to be sure to back before 2 years just to see what that trend would have been. But in all essence, that is a COVID-related type of response. Robertson Airport running through his 4,463. It represents 5% spent, so not a whole lot going on there. That's out of the ordinary. The WPCA facility budget expenditures through August 31st is $2,212,297. That is a percentage spent of 52.11%, 0.11%. So that's over the 2-year average. And talking with Joe, understanding, or through Rob, I think, through Joe, was that they've got earlier encumbrances than they've had in the previous years, so that kicked that number up, and that should obviously, as we move forward and take a look at this trend in a few months as those encumbrances come through, that I think you'll see that come more in line as we move through the year. And the Plainville Library budget expenditures, 24%, 24.65, and the 2-year average, 29.75. So running under there, and that just, I think, could be again, about 5% off, could be a reflection of personnel issues in terms of changes there. So recreation fund, 40,506, 20% received, and the 2-year average is 14. So it's running higher there and expected as you match up that with program ramping up and fees and so forth. That makes sense. It correlates to the programs. Robertson Airport, 20,000 with a percentage of 16.67%, and a fund balance of 70,000. Water pollution control facility budget revenues, 19,875. So percentage received is 48%. Versus a 2-year average of 0.65%. And I think that is, according to my notes, I don't think that's, I'm not sure there's anything to explain that other than, it's early in the year, and we also, the council will be looking at making a decision on the bills in October so that we can get to billing November 1st. So that, and then again, that will pick up, and I don't think it's that far off in terms of the average, and I'm sure that will smooth out as well. And the library fund budget revenues, 213,532. Percentage received is 27.97. The 2-year average is 23.5. So, again, good trend there in terms of revenue. I think that explains special funds.
So, Michael, I have a request regarding we're going to be sending out our annual sewer user bills that'll be due November 1st. So I had mentioned this to Robert last year, but I mentioned it too late. So I'm hoping maybe this year we could do this. And it has to do with when the sewer user bills are sent out from our tax collection department. Can we put a note on the bill reminding people to shovel the snow around their fire hydrants? These bills come out, at that time of the year. This was suggested to me by a resident, and I thought that's an interesting, reminder for people who have a fire hydrant in front of their property, if they could remember to shovel it when they're, when the snow is substantial enough that it needs to be taken care of. Is that something we could include on the billing?
I would hope so. I don't know. I have to talk to the department about how it's laid out, how it's formatted, and whether or not, or simply maybe just an insert. If
it could be a brief message like, remember, shovel fire hydrants, snow's coming. However, just a few words as a reminder, because everybody does get those bills, and it might be helpful to just remind people that it's important, especially as the snow accumulates around them. It's it's a safety issue in terms of our fire department. So
absolutely,
if we could ask Anne Marie or whoever communicates that billing information.
Right. Yeah.
I appreciate that. Great, thank you so much.
Madam Chair?
Yes,
I would
Rosemary.
suggest too, make sure there's a visual on it that people will
Right,
automatically,
like
immediately see a
color-
picture of a fire hydrant,
Yeah,
and
a
be
color
more
thing
likely.
or something
Yeah,
to
or at
make
least
it
a visual so that
Stand out a little bit?
it will attract their attention. yeah,
Sure.
Instead of
they'll
just
maybe,
throwing out a little insert or something, yeah.
right, good idea. Just so it can bring a little bit of attention to that messaging.
Yeah.
Okay.
Sounds good. Okay.
Thank you.
Last page is the major projects report. First item is the road bond project. We had, 10 million for the project budget. Revenue to date is obviously over that, and that reflects that the interest and premiums that come in over time because of the bonding situation and finances involved in that. Which is not outside the norm. When Rob broke it down to explain how could we, how does that come into playing, and that's because of the interest and premiums that are attributed to each bond issue. So the project is, expenditures to date 7.8 million or 74.21% complete at this time, and I think that's great for any community that has the vision to stay focused on infrastructure like that. And I think it's probably well received within the community, but I'm hoping to find out with the meeting on Wednesday of the community and as I get out into the neighborhoods and talk to people. But I just think it's a great program to stay on top of those things that you have to do. And I think that people understand, clearly that they're getting something for their taxes, whether sidewalks and roads. I think it makes it important. And of course, it takes us, we don't have all the money in the world, so it's a life cycle, and I think people understand that, and they get it, that we're not gonna pave their street every 5 years or every 10 years. It's going to be evaluated, and we're gonna come around and try and get to it. But I think by and large, people are patient, and they appreciate the fact that it gets done.
People are generally very positive about the paving program throughout the community. They see it as a benefit to everybody, truthfully.
Right.
There is one road in Plainville, and it's East Broad Street. There was a lot of construction there over the past summer, and only half of it is paved, and the other half is not. So Joe's smiling because he knows what I'm talking about. So I expect that the rest of it will be paved in an upcoming paving season, just so people understand that they paved part of it. Exactly half of the road was done, and the other half is still the same condition that it was before. So I'm guessing that we'll take care of that in this, in the next paving season.
I would definitely, I don't know, but I would hope so, and I'll check in with John Bossy on that.
Okay,
for
great.
sure.
Robert?
That half was paid by the gas company, that's why you see half of it paid, so the town will come in and do the rest of it next year. Because they did a lot of, utility work there, and so that's the reason why half was paid. It wasn't the town paid half,
Right.
it was the utility company.
But we'll take care of as we normally would?
Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Back to the projects, Wheeler School project, $23,515,000 project with revenue to date of $10,964,65 and expenditures of $20,976,904. The project is 89.21% complete, and there's $4 million indicated in terms of revenue that came in on that project. I'm yet to get inside, but I hope to get out there to Wheeler and take a look around. I have had a tour and seen the schools, all of them from the exterior, but have not yet gotten inside, and we'll get that on my list. The high school turf maintenance fund is revenue to date is 218, expenditures of 39,215, project balance 179,562 for that project ongoing maintenance fund. ARPA 5,189,198 with revenue to date of 3,486,311. expenditures of $2,033,613, and so that represents 39.19% expenditure or completed within those funds. And obviously, we have the recommendations off the list that we were working on, and obviously I had the items on tonight, and looking forward to another public hearing for October 3rd. The Town Line Road Reconstruction Project, $1,043,400, and expenditures to date of $1,121,821. So the project is over by $78,421, and a lot of that, and talking with Robert and Rob, are encumbrances that after shaking that through will probably likely come back to the project number of $1,043,400. But there are a number of encumbrances at this point, and we'll wait to see how that shakes out. So that number should come in line with what was budgeted. And I think that's it for project report, major project report.
Okay. Okay, does anybody have any questions for Michael regarding the dashboard and anything else that was included in his report tonight? All set? Okay.
Okay, I guess that leads us into happenings, and our clerk will tell us what's going on.
Thank you. Okay. Tuesday, September 13th at 10 a.m., Caregiving Connections at the Senior Center. Join your friends at the Senior Center in support of one another on your journeys to recognize challenges of 24/7 caregiving. The Memory Cafe will be returning Thursday, September 15th at 2 p.m. Memory cafes are safe and supportive gatherings for people with challenges in their memory along with their care partners. The Not So Empty Nest 14th Annual Grandparents Raising Grandchildren Conference, Tuesday, September 20th, 9 a.m. to 1 p.m., presented by Heidi Levitz from the Wheeler Clinic. Registration is required by September 14th. There's a complimentary box lunch included, and there'll be raffle prizes.
So Cindy, that's on the 14th?
That is on Tuesday, the 20th.
Oh, the 20th.
You must register by the 14th.
Oh, perfect, thank you.
You're
Okay.
welcome. And this is a new one. A hydrocycle tour starting from Old Seabrook. Saturday, September 24th. There's a few spots that are remaining. Biking on water. Hydrocycles that are attached to pontoon boats. It's great for folks of any age. It'll begin at the estuary along the Oyster River in Old Saybrook and leading into Long Island Sound. Okay, then I have this year's Fall On-Demand Bulk Pickup running on Mondays from September 12th through November 7th. Residents who have curbside trash recycling collection from the town can request one bulk pickup per calendar year free of charge for acceptable large items that do not fit in their normal rubbish collection. Eligible residents must call CWPM LLC at 860-793-6721 to schedule a pickup. When calling, you must provide your name, address, phone number, and a description of the items to be collected. Calls must be scheduled by the property owners. Calls placed no later than 3 p.m. on Friday can be scheduled for collection the following Monday. For more information and a list of acceptable items, visit the Plainville website at www.plainvillect.com and select bulk pickup under town services. A welcome reception for our new town manager, Michael Paulus, will be held this Wednesday, September 14th from 6 p.m. to 7:30 p.m. at the Plainville Public Library. Please come out to meet him. Light refreshments will also be served. And last, Americold is in the process of fitting out their facility on Northwest Drive. They had contacted town planner Mark DeVoe and asked if they could assist in some community effort and perform some outreach to establish themselves as members of the corporate community. Brian Kohansky of Americold had decided that Paderewski Park and the pond would be a great place to begin. AmeriCorps workers gathered a pickup truck worth of branches and debris and had begun previously cut and piled on park property last Friday on the 9th. The material was piled in the gravel parking lot off of Cook Street. As a combined effort with Building and Ground Superintendent Mark DeVoe, removal of the pile is being taken care of, and it was a great effort. So everyone was excited.
Great. That's awesome.
That's all set. That's
Great.
it.
Okay, Cindy, thank you for your report. Does anybody have any questions or comments for Cindy? Okay, thank you again, both of you, for your work. All right, we will move on. Next item on our agenda is public comments. During this time, we welcome the public to come to our podium. Please state your name and address. You will have 10 minutes to speak to, walk that back, 3 minutes to speak to the council. Does anybody wish to speak to the council tonight? Anybody wish to speak to the council? Okay, last chance. Anybody wish to speak to the council? We'll close that item.
Madam Chair, I know it's reserved for the public, but would it be all right for me just to publicly acknowledge acknowledge AmeriCorps? I think that's a nice volunteer effort. Certainly, community loves to have those type of engagements. But I was just wanted to, acknowledge the events that we had in the last 24 hours in terms of a fire.
That would be great.
Fire and
Yep.
on Main Street, and I think the department did a great job in stopping that, knocking that down, and we had mutual aid from Farmington and Southington, and it was without injury, or other loss of property. We lost that property, but it could have been a lot worse, and I think it was a great stop, and I think that they should be recognized and acknowledged for that, and of course the police this morning in a very difficult event in terms of a shooting, and I think just the coordinated effort and communication went a long way to easing the tension and the anxiety within the community, and I think just the response and professionalism was outstanding, and I just think it's worth a public comment. That's all.
I agree. And I was going to wonder if we should ask the chief if he would just like to make some comment about particularly what happened today. It's a rare occurrence in our town. And I saw some things on social media, but not everybody is, locked into social media per se.
Right.
There was an interview that was on one of the news stations. So for the benefit of those that do follow our council meetings, if you could just give us a little overview of what you'd like to share about that,
Sure.
that would be appreciated.
Sure, and while I'm up here, I want to thank, on behalf of the entire police department, Councilwoman Moranti, and one of her friends delivered some refreshments to the police department in honor of those first responders who lost their lives on 9/11. So thank you so much for the refreshments. The officers really enjoyed it, so thank you very much for that. Thank you. Yes, the events this morning, just to kind of reiterate the news release that's already out there, at around 10:30 this morning, residents from the Hamlin View Terrace condominium complex, which is on Woodford, right in the on-ramp of 72 there, called 911, numerous calls for a shooting victim that needed help. My officers and detectives responded within 60 seconds. I think my first officer was there. That's Detective Fenn. He and another officer, without regard for their own safety, ran in and found the victim right away and delivered medical aid, including a tourniquet, to stop the bleeding. This was a 22-year-old male who was suffering from 2 gunshot wounds that he had received from unknown assailants. At this point, they're unknown. He apparently was parked in his vehicle in the rear of the condominium complex. He has apparently no ties to this complex whatsoever. He was just parked there, and unknown assailants fired rounds into the car from the passenger side, striking him twice. These are non-life-threatening wounds. After the treatment by my officers, he was treated by American Medical Response. They took him to New Britain General, where he underwent surgery, and we're looking forward to speaking with him again tomorrow. Officers did a great job. They really, shut the place down, cordoned it off, made sure the safety of the other officers and all the residents was secured. The schools were contacted immediately by dispatch. They were put onto a modified lockdown. So Linden Street School being so close and the high school being so close to Woodford Avenue, it was just an abundance of caution, because at that point we really didn't know how many suspects there were and whether they were on foot or whether they were in a vehicle. We did learn from a eyewitness that was in front that they did see this vehicle drive out at a high rate of speed and jump onto the highway. But we have really no descriptions other than a black luxury SUV, possibly a Mercedes or an Audi. And the suspect was really just dark clothing with a hoodie, which really doesn't give us much to start with. So, officers, we have the vehicle under control. We're doing a search warrants for it. We did the crime scene investigation, and now it's just a matter of putting the pieces together and moving forward with the investigation. But everybody did a wonderful job. The schools did a great job. They were on that modified lockdown for about an hour before we lifted it. We had to go door to door to ensure that everybody was safe within that complex, and also to gather more information from people that were witnesses. Most people just heard what went on. We don't have any direct eyewitnesses, unfortunately, other than the victim. So we're working on it.
Thank you. Certainly a frightening situation for those living there, and of course for your officers who don't know what they'll be facing as they arrive to such a terrible situation. But thank you for your update. That's appreciated. People that watch our council meetings will get a little better information because it comes direct from you. So we appreciate all those efforts.
You're welcome. Thank you.
Thank you again. Okay. Okay. All right. Moving along, there are no other public comments. We do not have any old business, so we'll go into our new business items.
Madam Chair,
Yes, please.
motion to authorize the use of coronavirus state and local fiscal recovery funds associated with the American Rescue Plan Act for Robinson Airport improvements in the amount of $250,000.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Any discussion on that motion? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Item number 2.
Madam Chair,
Go ahead.
motion to adopt an amendment to delete Chapter 318, Article 2, outdoor dining from General Code.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Any discussion on that? All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Item number 3.
Madam Chair,
Go ahead.
motion to approve and authorize the town manager to execute the Delta license agreement with Validity contingent upon review of the town attorney.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Any discussion on that motion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Item number 4, please.
Madam Chair.
Go ahead.
Motion to award bid number 2023-05 fire marshal vehicle under state contract number 19 PSX 0161 to Gengras Ford, Plainville, Connecticut, in the amount of $40,239.70.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Any discussion on that? All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. You have a lot of reading to do on the next one.
Tell me about it.
There, Dave. You want to pass that from someone else?
Want to do it?
Yeah, okay.
Go ahead.
Okay, Madam Chair?
Go ahead, Rosemary. We're
Okay.
going to share this.
Yeah. Motion to adopt the following resolution. Whereas pursuant to CGS Section 32-763, the Connecticut Department of Economic and Community Development is authorized to extend financial assistance for economic development projects. And whereas it is desirable and in the public interest that the town of Plainville make an application to the state for $1,170,000 in order to undertake the former White Oak remediation and redevelopment project and to execute an assistance agreement. Now, therefore, be it resolved by the town council that it is cognizant of the conditions and prerequisites for the state financial assistance imposed by CGS Section 32-763, that the filing of an application for state financial assistance by Town of Plainville in an amount not to exceed $1,170,000 is hereby approved, and that the Plainville Town Manager, Michael Paulus, is directed to execute and file such application with the Connecticut Department of Economic and Community Development, to provide such additional information, to execute such other documents as may be required, to execute an assistance agreement with the state of Connecticut for state financial assistance if such an agreement is offered, to execute any amendments, decisions, and revisions thereto, and to act as the authorized representative of Town of Plainville.
Good job.
Okay,
Second that motion.
I have a second. Are there any comments or questions or corrections on that?
Madam Chair?
Yes, Rosemary?
Just like to say that, once again, this is a very important, critical project, and it's good to see another step being taken.
Right.
I look forward to the next ones.
Okay, yeah, yes, indeed. Okay, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, motion carries. Item number 6,
Madam Chair,
go ahead.
motion to approve and authorize the town manager to execute the amendment for design phase engineering services with Ty and Bond regarding the shuttle model water pump station.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Any discussion on that? All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Item carries. Item number 7,
Madam Chair,
go ahead.
motion to establish public hearing in the Municipal Center at 7 p.m. on Monday, October 3rd, 2022, to hear public comment regarding the use of coronavirus state and local fiscal recovery funds associated with the American Rescue Plan Act.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Any discussion on the motion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Item number 8,
Madam Chair,
go ahead.
motion to approve Police Department Reserve Officer Policy General Orders Number 54.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Any discussion on that motion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries.
And Madam Chair,
Go right ahead.
motion to approve the tax refund as listed on the addendum.
Second.
Okay, I have a motion and a second. Any discussion on that motion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, that takes care of the new business. There was a lot of them there, but moved along. Thank you for your help with that. Item number 12, other discussions of interest. Michael, do you have anything else you would wish to bring with us, before us tonight?
Just that there is movement. I am happy to report on the assistant town manager, and that
good.
person will be starting, Andy Ciroli will be starting on September 29th.
Wow,
And he comes from the South Central Council of Governments, where he's been working with 15 towns within that region. And having been in North Branford, I was part of that, saw Andy's work and his work product and his interaction with that. I am very pleased that we've found an outstanding candidate, and that he'll be able to hit the ground running.
wonderful.
Yeah.
Good work.
Thank you.
We'll be happy to meet our new assistant town manager.
Mhm.
Great, thank you so much. Okay, anything else? That's it for that
That's all I've got.
extra? Okay. We do not have an executive session scheduled tonight, so may I have a motion to adjourn?
Madam Chair, motion to adjourn.
Second.
A motion and a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, motion carries. Thank you very much. We're adjourned.